The echoes that once haunted the station had faded. Now, something far more sinister, far more violating, had taken their place. The wormhole, no longer a phantom in her veins, had taken root, its tendrils burrowing deep into her circulatory system. It migrated, a parasitic darkness, coiling itself in her lower abdomen like a serpent made of void. The medical team, their faces drawn and pale, ran the ultrasound again and again. Each time, the result was the same. No fetus, no child of flesh and blood, only a sphere of absolute, perfect blackness, a hole in reality itself, growing larger with every passing hour. Her silhouette, once human, began to distort, stretched into a grotesque, obscene parody of pregnancy. Her skin pulled taut, becoming a drumhead stretched over the burgeoning void. A horrifying inversion began. Gravity, the fundamental law of the universe, reversed its course inside her. Her organs, once neatly arranged, were now being pulled downward and inward, crushed and compressed toward that growing sphere of nothingness. She could feel it, an architectural agony. Her intestines were being braided into tight, unnatural spirals. Her liver folded like wet paper. Every part of her internal structure was forced into denser, tighter configurations, becoming the unwilling scaffolding for something that should never, ever be born. And then, at irregular, agonizing intervals, the sphere would pulse. A false labor would rack her body. She would hear the wet pop of her pelvis cracking, her hips dislocating to create a birth canal that led nowhere in this universe. Each time this horrific parody of birth occurred, the void expelled not a child, but fragments. Shards of crystallized bone and frozen blood would skitter across the cold floor, moving like insects with a mind of their own. They would reassemble themselves into small, eyeless things, creatures of impossible geometry that watched her, their featureless forms reflecting her own absolute terror. Death would have been a mercy, but it was a mercy she was denied. Some cruel cosmic joke, some principle of quantum immortality, ensured she never succumbed to the ruptures. Her body would heal just enough to endure the next agonizing expansion, the next horrifying birth. Her womb had become an event horizon in miniature, a gateway to a reality of pure dread. And then the things she birthed began to speak. Their voices were layered, a chorus of alien whispers and human screams, describing the coming inversion. They spoke of a new universe, a place where entropy runs backward, where every scattered particle, every mote of dust, every distant star would be dragged screaming back into a perfect, crushing unity. A singularity of absolute order and absolute silence. The few remaining survivors on the station, their minds already hollowed out by the horrors they had witnessed, no longer full. They knelt before her swelling, monstrous form. They saw not a woman in agony, but a new god, a terrible Messiah. In a final act of devotion, they offered their own collapsing bodies as tribute, a final, desperate prayer to the darkness she was about to unleash. High above, the ancient ice of the station's shell began to groan, a deep, resonant sound that promised an imminent collapse. not just of the structure, but of everything, floating in a haze of her own blood and the frost of the dying station. A moment of terrible clarity came to Ilara. She thought, birth is not the opposite of death. Both are just doors. And in that final lucid moment, she understood her role in this cosmic play. I have become the hinge. And then another contraction tore the thought and her sanity to pieces. The final birth was beginning.